First game we're going to talk about, Dalton, where ESPN's College Game Day is going. It's the first Saturday at Pittsburgh for ESPN College Game Day show in about, I think, 20 years for the Panthers. Got Notre Dame at Pitt. Again, there's no rankings on the bottom of the screen because this is being recorded before the playoff rankings are revealed tonight, but both Notre Dame and Pitt will be in the top 25, considering both of them were in the top 25 last week as well. And this game has huge playoff implications for both programs. I say both, and I'm looking at Pat Narduzzi right now saying that because you see Pat Narduzzi's quote a couple days ago.
Yep, it's just that he's much more concerned, apparently, at least on the surface, with the ACC games as opposed to this one. Although, I mean, look, does it make sense maybe on the surface? Yeah, they already have 2 losses, including one kind of bad one to West Virginia, and Pitt's probably not in the at-large conversation, but it is a little odd that you would say something like that out loud.
A little odd to be like, hey, they could beat us 100-0, and I wouldn't really care. It's like, okay, man. Like
unless he's just trying to lull him to sleep.
Maybe that's true.
Backwards on it.
Now it is a massive game for Notre Dame, though, for sure, because Notre Dame probably has to. Actually, no, not even probably. They have to win their last 3 games in order to make the college football playoff. Right now, any loss would eliminate Notre Dame altogether, and this game at Pitt is easily the most dangerous game left for Notre Dame this year because my alma mater, unfortunately, Syracuse and Stanford are a combined 6-14 on the year. Those are their final 2 games after this Pitt game. Pat Narduzzi was kind of right when he said that this game doesn't really matter for their season, but it is worth mentioning that Pitt could potentially receive an at-large bid at 10-2. I think it's a possibility, Dalton, because their last 3 games, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami. You win all 3 of those games and don't win the ACC for whatever reason and finish, say, 10-2. There's a case to be made that Pitt should be in the playoff at 10-2 with those 3 wins on their resume. So I do think that this game against Notre Dame, yes, doesn't affect their ACC standings, and most likely Pitt's only path to the playoff is by winning the ACC. But I still think this game is important to the Panthers this year, even if Pat Narduzzi disagrees with me.
Well, and I think even playoff seeding there, when you think about, okay, if you lose this game to Notre Dame and then you still go on to win the ACC, right, at that point you'd be 10-3, right? You're still probably looking as the ACC champion with kind of the perceived disrespect they got from the committee in the initial rankings, probably looking at the ACC champ being number 11 or 12 in that mix, right, as far as the seeding goes. You beat Notre Dame and you go on to win the ACC and beat Georgia Tech and Miami and whoever else at the top along the way in the title game, then maybe you're talking about a scenario where, okay, maybe they have 2 losses from earlier in the year, but you get on this run down the stretch. Pitt's been raging hot lately. Maybe even get a home game there, right, at Acrisure Stadium for a playoff game, a top 8 seed. So I do think it matters in that respect. I understand that the ultimate goal is that win or loss to Notre Dame, if they win the ACC, they will go to the playoff, and they do have, I guess in theory, bigger fish to fry, although this is a pretty darn big game with game day coming in and Notre Dame coming in with their season on the line. But no, I think down the line, this still certainly matters for both teams, right, when it comes to this playoff race. And look, Pitt at number 24, they debuted last week. Is that right?
Yeah, it should be a little higher this week, probably.
I mean, you beat Notre Dame the way they've been playing lately. You would take a pretty good jump in these rankings next week, too.
So you have the Notre Dame offense, which has been one of the best offenses in college football all year, Dalton. What should we know for them against Pitt?
Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun when you talk about Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Notre Dame as a team is top 10 in the country in rushing grade. They've got the best back in the country in Jeremiah Love. They probably have the best second back in the country in Jadarian Price, right? You also have Aeneas Williams always floating around there too. But you look at that matchup against this Pitt run defense that has been an elite unit all year. Second in the nation in run defense grade. Second in yards per carry allowed. Second in yards before contact per carry allowed. They don't let you get off the line of scrimmage. And 22nd in explosive run rate allowed. The heart and soul of this Pitt team is an awesome linebacker group led by Kyle Lewis. Rasheem Biles has been out the last few days, but you got guys stepping up. Braylon Lovelace has been really good for this team as well. Cameron Lindsay stepping up in place of Biles. It's these linebackers, to me, that are going to have some huge collisions. They've got speed all over the place at that second level of their defense. It's going to be Notre Dame's running attack against this Pitt defense that's been elite against the run. If they can stop the run and they can make C.J. Carr beat them, which he can beat you for sure. They're loaded at receiver. Malachi Fields, Jordan Faison, all these guys that have been playing so well. well. Will Pauling on the outside too, but I would still rather have Notre Dame beat me with C.J. Carr in the passing game than I would with Jeremiah Love running for 200 yards all over me. So it's not easy to stop either, but the way Pitt's run defense has played this year, especially with that group of linebackers that they have with Kyle Lewis and those guys, they really do have a chance to make Notre Dame beat them throwing the football, and then it gets fun in those obvious passing situations with Pat Narduzzi and all the blitzing and press coverage he can throw at you.
Yeah, I want to talk about Pitt, their offense this year, and how it's changed this year too, because they started off by losing its first two games against Power 4 opponents in West Virginia and Louisville. They were 2-2 to start their season overall. And their quarterback, Eli Holstein, was a major reason why they struggled in those two losses to West Virginia and Louisville. Holstein, only a 51.4 PFF grade across those four games, which ultimately led Pitt to make a change at quarterback and start a true freshman at Mason Heinschel, and he provided a spark for sure to that Pitt offense, because Pitt, since Mason Heinschel became the starting quarterback, is 5-0 since the former three-star recruit took the reins. He has a lot of arm talent, but he's still learning to rein in that arm talent right now, as most true freshman quarterbacks have that problem. 10 big-time throws since week 6, tied for 13th among all quarterbacks in the country. But 10 turnover-worthy plays since week 6 are tied for the 7th most among all quarterbacks in the country as well. In particular, he has 4 big-time throws against man coverage, tied for 8th in America in that stretch. 4 turnover-worthy plays against man coverage as well, though, are tied for the most in the Power 4. That stat is important to note, though, because Notre Dame runs man coverage at the 4th highest rate in college football at about 47% this year. If he can hone in his decision-making a little bit while still making some tight window throws down the field against Notre Dame's man coverage, Pitt can absolutely pull off this upset at home. But if not, Leonard Moore and the Fighting Irish's talented secondary has played a lot better over the last few weeks. Will make him pay with some interceptions too.
What Heinschel's added also over Holstein is the ability to play out of structure and improvise a bit, right? And then you talk about getting the ball to Kenny Johnson and Raphael Williams on the outside. A big question for me as well is Desmond Reed going to play in this game? Been banged up lately, missed a game a couple weeks ago against Stanford. If Desmond Reed is in there, that adds another receiving threat that you talk about, that man-to-man coverage. You get him lined up against linebackers, and look, Notre Dame's got a great set of linebackers, but it's extremely hard to cover Desmond Reed. If he plays, you add another dimension to this passing game for Heinschel to work with. So the pressure is going to be on the freshman for sure against this team, this defense, and Notre Dame's defense seems to be getting better every single week after a couple of early losses, obviously, to Miami and giving up 40 to Texas A&M. But I think this is going to be the biggest challenge now for Heinschel, is just kind of keeping his cool against this defense, against Chris Ash's defense that has been getting a lot better throughout the year. And first things first, do not throw the ball at number 15. You throw it at Leonard Moore, man-to-man, you are going to have a problem.
Absolutely. So ultimately, Dalton, in a game that means everything for Notre Dame season and apparently means nothing for Pitt season, who will win between Notre Dame and Pitt?
Still think you might be lulling them to sleep a little bit. Trying to take the urgency off of Notre Dame there a little bit. On the road, you're coming into Pittsburgh. It's going to be a packed house. But no, it's still going to be a tight game. Yeah. I am going to take Notre Dame. I do think they are the better team. It's going to be tough going in there, into that environment. It's going to be charged up. And Pitt's been red hot since they put Heinschel in there. I think the run defense gives them a chance. I do think a difference in this game, if Pitt is going to come out and A, keep this close, or B, even win it. Notre Dame's offense in the red zone has been kind of inconsistent, especially C.J. Carr in the red zone. They're going to have to be able to finish drives and put 7s instead of 3s on the board against this defense, because you're only going to get so many opportunities. So I do think it is a real test for both C.J. Carr and Mason Heinschel. Let's not forget through all of this that C.J. Carr is still a redshirt freshman, and I would argue this is the biggest game he's played in yet this year with their season on the line and the stakes to it. But I will take the Fighting Irish 30-27. I think we're getting a dogfight in Pittsburgh.
I am taking Notre Dame as well, 31-24. It's worth mentioning Pitt has one of the best run defenses in college football this year. They're currently, right now, I believe, top 3 in the country in run defense grade. Actually, they're second in the country in run defense grade, only behind Texas Tech. So Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price have their work cut out for them in this one. So it could turn into a game where C.J. Carr has to win and Mason Heinschel has to win for Pitt as well. I think C.J. Carr will outduel Mason Heinschel. Has been a bit of a roller coaster this year overall, and I think Notre Dame will keep their season alive with a big road victory over Pitt. So I have a 31-24 Notre Dame beating Pitt. All right.